What is going on, folks? I hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday, December 15th, 2022. Um, and yes, you read that title right. I want to bitch and complain a little bit. So that's what we're here for. So, as always, I'm joined with my good friend Terry, the Ironton Auditor, the real game changer, the one that really does make a difference. Terry, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, sir. Just had a wonderful evening out with my own subscribers. We went Christmas light looking tonight.
I saw that and I did get to tune in shortly. I was able to, I was working, so I had to kind of do it in between things that were going on or whatever and just kind of join in on my phone for a moment, but I had to kind of bounce in and out. But that looked like a good time. And that's a really neat thing to be able to share, and that's something that shows a little bit, it's very personal for the area and it allows for everybody to be able to enjoy not just the scenes in Ironton and not just the police stops and so on and so forth, but a little bit of our culture, so to speak, and a little bit more of a personal connection with around here, I think.
Right. Well, a lot of people didn't get the opportunity to see such things. Some people can't leave their homes for various reasons, and I thought it was a good idea to
Sure.
bring it to them right there on their own, their own TV, their own iPhone, whatever they're using. They get to see it all close up.
I think it's great, man. Real fast, I'm gonna touch base with the chat. We have Tina Slay in the chat. How are you, Miss Tina? Epiphany's in the chat. Sumi's in the chat. Dark Watch, how are you, sir? Yeah, I got a good co-host to do my co-bitching too. So that's you're right. I do got the right one for that, don't I? Let's see who else we got. Ginger, how are you? Chili's blow up doll is in the chat. Blue Bear's in the chat. How is everybody? Good old boy. Well, listen, Abby, how are you? Here's what's going on, guys. And before we actually go into this, let me say I haven't been to a whole lot of lives lately, and a lot of that is because, and you guys probably already know, and I've said so that I'm doing a lot of overtime here and there, and trying to make the holidays happen and stuff. And Terry, let me tell you how. Let me tell you how my past 24 hours has been for me. So I'm at work yesterday, and my wife calls me and says, "Hey, the truck's broke down on the side of the road."
Oh, great.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? So she got a flat. But and so obviously I was at work and I was unable to be able to do much about that, but we were blessed enough to be able to have the roadside assistance deal or whatever. Um, so we sent the truck to the shop to get a new tire because the tire actually was messed up on it where she had to drive it to get it off the road or whatever. And then as we get there, we realized, which you knew, and you and I talked about a little bit, there was some other stuff that needed to be done.
Right.
So, so, and let me tell you, they don't mince words about finding everything they can that needs to be done, bud. To say that they notice everything, oh, they go through it.
Well, they're mechanics. Not only will they take a look at what you know is wrong with it, they'll look at everything else they can find. I used to work at a dealership, and we had they called it a like a 23-point inspection.
Right.
And one day, so I'd been working there about a week, and they finally threw me one of those jobs. And I look at the supervisor above me, and I'm like, "What exactly is a 23-point inspection?" He said, "Don't pay any attention to that damn piece of paper. You look that thing from bumper to bumper and find everything you can find that we can fix on it." I said, "Okay, there you go. That's how it works."
And I guess that's probably what they done, which, I did request for them to go ahead and look through the front suspension because you and I knew that that was already an issue. So the good news is I'm getting the stuff fixed on the truck that we need to. The bad news is that my wife had to be broke down on the side of the road for a while. And it kind of sucked and everything. So it isn't the end of the world. God always provides and things come together and I'm blessed. So, but nevertheless, it was kind of a pain in the butt and it's always something, right? So
Well, I
remember,
apologize for not being there quicker. I wish I had
oh no,
been,
it's
but life kind of keeps me busy, man.
It does. It does. And that's actually what I was going to say. You guys have heard me say that life gets daily. And the reality is it doesn't matter because there's no down days. There's just up days and getting up days. And we've been having a couple of those getting up days lately, but that's all right because it just gives the opportunity to get back up and show that it's no big deal. Right. So, but through all of that, I'm at work today and one of my coworkers says, and you guys, and first of all, let me give a little backstory. You guys know that I'm a big time freedom guy. I'm a big time uh, Pro 2A guy, obviously, hence the name. Um, and because of that, I certainly, by all means, enjoy the rights and the freedoms that we have to be able to do things and to practice certain freedoms that we have in the United States, and one of those being the right to keep and bear arms. So you guys notice that my background tonight is "We the People," and it's goes into the preamble and stuff, which we can't read because it's just a background, but nevertheless. Um, so one of my coworkers brings something to my attention. And he says, "Did you see what Columbus is doing?" I said, "No, what do you mean?" And he says, "Columbus is attempting to pass a certain law." Terry, you familiar with what I'm about to talk about or no?
No, I hadn't seen it until you mentioned it tonight, so I'm waiting to see it with you.
Okay. Well, we'll get into the details of it in just a minute, but basically, before we go into all that, the reality is this is one of those things that just fired me up right off the bat. Right off the bat at 2 o'clock today when I start my shift. This is how things go. Um, do I have anybody in my chat that lives in Columbus, Ohio? Put a one in the chat if you're from Columbus. I'm just
Epiphanies,
curious.
Columbus is the capital of the state of Ohio. It's not a person, it is a city.
Yes. Columbus, Ohio. So I should have specified that. I'm sorry. But if you, I'm just curious if we have anybody from Columbus. I'm not sure. I know there's some people some of my subscribers that have said that they live around Columbus. I just wasn't sure if anybody was actually here. But okay. Chris says he lives a little bit west of Columbus. So, if you don't live in the city, it's not gonna, okay. Yep. I know where Urbana is. Yep. But, that's not, that's not going to affect you unless you live in a city. So this starts off. What's up, Joe Cool? This starts off with the a letter, I believe, or maybe some kind of news story or something that he was reading. I don't know if he found it on Facebook or whatever, but it was the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office was basically making a statement about something that they were dealing with. Now, I'm obviously, I'm given my police authority through the Attorney General, so he's not my boss, but he is, certainly somebody that I kind of have to at least honor, so to speak. So, but that being said, this time it's for real because I'm pretty damn proud of him. he done something that I would totally agree with. Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to pull this screen up here. Now it's probably going to be really hard to actually read this from the screen. So I'm going to do my best to kind of try to read it to you guys. And we probably won't read specific, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go through it, the highlights of it. So let me pull this up here real fast. And then I'm going to go over here on the other page here and try to read it the best I can.
If you hit the one all the way to the far right, it'll make that screen full screen, and it'll take us off for a minute. They don't need to see us, maybe to make it easier for us to read with you.
Oh, but they want to see me, I promise. Okay, so if you can see the title of this, it says Judge sides with Yost in temporarily halting. Now, before we go into this, we have to understand that I didn't even know this was going on. This has evidently been going on for quite a while, and we'll see the actual dates as we read through this. But this is something that really kind of blew my mind. And just to kind of give you the gist of it, it says a Fairfield County judge has granted Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost's request for a temporarily restraining order preventing Columbus' newly passed gun ordinances from taking effect. Judge Richard, and I'm assuming it's Barons of Fairfield County Common Pleas, Common Pleas Court, issued his ruling this morning, enjoining the ordinances immediately. It says this request is of the court is strictly a matter of law, as state law supersedes what Columbus is attempting to do here, Yost said. The city has knowingly and deliberately overstepped its legislative authority. Now, what we're getting ready to talk about will blow your mind. Terry, before we move on, I want to ask you something. What just happened in June of this past year in the state of Ohio?
We just got rid of what they call constitutional carry. I don't know why we needed a law to tell us we were able to constitutional carry, seeing as how that's supposed to be the law of the land. But anyway, we now have one. So the concealed permit is no longer needed by anyone legally able to carry a firearm.
Basically, to wrap it all up as best we can, is we now enjoy as a state the more closely resembles the rights and freedoms that we should have had all along anyway. Basically, the gist of it is, we should have had complete freedom when it comes to firearms, in my opinion, anyway, just like our forefathers intended, I believe. So, that being said, Ohio took a step towards that in a more positive way, in my opinion, this past summer. So, since then, the capital of Ohio, the city of Columbus, Ohio, decided that they were going to do this. So, let's keep going on this and let's see where all this came from. Okay. Now keep in mind that was in June, right? So it says Yost was referring to a set of gun ordinances passed December 5th. So a few months, not a year, not 2 years, literally a few months. The city council with the city of Columbus, despite a Franklin County judge's order earlier stating all proceedings related Columbus 2019 legal challenge of the Ohio law mandating statewide uniformity in firearms regulations. Now, keep in mind, there's already been a Franklin County judge telling City of Columbus, chill out. And the City of Columbus basically ignores that and decides to go ahead with these nonsense laws. The law, ORC 9.68, passed in 2006 by the Ohio General Assembly, was intended to prevent patchwork system of conflicting local gun laws. What they were basically saying was they wanted a uniform law throughout the state, saying that you can't just pass laws here and there that change the overall ability of the law or what you're allowed to do within the law. You shouldn't have to worry about which city you go in, whether it changes or not, right?
It almost sounds like common sense, doesn't it?
It's too close for them to understand. I think that's what happened. They got lost in it. They'd never seen it before. So when they did, it overwhelmed them. And as we go into this, you'll see how much it must have been just a terrible, awful venture for them to run into common sense. The issue here is that the legislature has said we're going to have uniform law for the entire state. Is that pretty simple? When our elected legislatures say we're going to have a uniform law for the entire state, period.
You would think it would be that simple, wouldn't you?
Maybe I'm missing something. It's because it says so citizens don't have to guess whether they're breaking the damn law. That doesn't say that part,
right?
Okay. Because they pass a municipal boundary. Now think about that. You're exercising your rights and your freedoms and you cross into a city and now all of a sudden you have to stop and think, wait a minute. And the law needs to be enforced, it says, Yost said. If we're going to have changes in Ohio's gun laws, they need to go through the General Assembly, which is exactly what we done when we got constitutional carry. The General Assembly passed law. That's exactly how things happen. That's the way it should have happened. Now, Columbus doesn't like it, and they're trying to be, this is my ball, and I'm going home type thing. So, 2 of the Columbus ordinances violate the uniformity law. Now, here's what really just burns me up when I realize, sorry, I'm trying to see in the dark here a little bit. When I see what these laws actually do. One bans possession of large capacity magazines, Terry. Watch your ass now.
Because see, they think obviously with small magazines, I can't kill just as many people. That's how dumb they truly are. They think a bigger magazine means you'll hurt more. They're not smart enough to know any better.
Well, you know why? Because those large magazines go in those evil black guns. Those AR,
right.
those AR-15 black evil rifles and those Glocks that are black evil. They just look mean, and because they don't have that wood on them like the hunting guns.
Well,
right?
if you remember, Sovereign said he kept his chained to the wall. He's correct. I seen it. It's a damn good thing. That thing would be running amok all through Virginia if he didn't have it chained down.
I guarantee the first time he let it loose, it'd bite somebody. Without a doubt. Sovereign's going to bite somebody. And it says, so large capacity magazines, making such possession a misdemeanor punishable. Are you ready for this? By a minimum, Terry, minimum jail stay of 180 days and a maximum of 1 year. The other makes it criminal misdemeanor to store a firearm. Did you hear what I just said?
Of
It
course.
makes it a criminal misdemeanor to store a firearm in a way that doesn't comply with the City of Columbus Code, regardless of whether any harm has resulted from the improper storage. Now, let me read that again. The other makes it a criminal misdemeanor to store a firearm in a way that doesn't comply with Columbus City Code, regardless if it hurts anybody or not. So they're going to tell you, Terry, and they're going to tell me, and they're going to tell everybody else out there how to have your damn guns in your damn house.
Yeah, well, here comes the problem. How are they going to know one way or the other? I'm
I
just
don't.
curious
It's
exactly how
what?
they figure they're going to know.
Well, here's the thing, and I agree with you on that. But the fact that they would have the audacity to put that in text, the fact that people that they elect up there would actually have the audacity to say, "We're going to tell you on paper how you're going to keep your guns in your home behind my four walls," when literally our founders said that I have the right to keep and bear arms, and now some municipal city government says, if you're going to live in our city, you're going to keep your guns this way. Wow. I
Well,
mean,
if they have a problem with the way I store them in my home, then I would have to put my rifle and my shotgun across my back and carry my pistols on my hips. I guess I just have to open carry them all the time then.
well, they want you to chain them up like sovereigns. That's what they want. They want a dog chain on there to make sure that it don't get loose and bite anybody's. Well, I guess what the problem is. It says the latter violates not only the uniformity law, but also Ohioans' state constitutional right to bear arms for their defense and security. So within the state constitution, Ohioans have the right to bear arms for defense and security, unlike our national or our constitutional or United States constitutional rights to keep and bear arms for a well-regulated militia. So this is a different step, but nevertheless, it's still a right in the state constitution. Now, a municipal government within this state, within this nation, is trying to restrict it even further, and they're not, and they're so bold that they've ignored a county judge that put an order that says, hang on, don't pass anything yet, because we're going to have to take this and we're going to have to let the Supreme Court or at least an appellate court of some sort decide. Somebody's going to have to step in and actually make a decision. And guess what? These bastards just ignored it. I'm telling you, if I was living in Columbus right now, my head would be spinning. I'd be so pissed off.
Did you ever see the Ohio Revised Code where it concerns firearms?
I'm sure I've read the 29 sections of it. Yeah, I've never the administrative code.
I would have to look it up again, but it goes on to state that it is absolutely not illegal in any way. It's perfectly legal for you to have, transport, manufacture, everything to do with firearms, and it is illegal for them to permit you or charge you for a permit. And yet, right here in our own county, that was done for years and years and years, all against the law. Our sheriff's department did it against the law. I just want to put that out there. It was against Ohio Revised Code, against the code they swore to uphold.
If it was an administrative code, it might be a little bit different, because there was, I know there was a law that allowed, the
Ohio Revised Code. I would have to look up the number again.
Right. It's all in the revised code maintains all the code. And administrative code's probably where that was from. So they probably changed they probably had some kind of crazy amendment that allowed them to do something. I don't know,
well, but I'm sure they did, like they're trying to do right here in Columbus right now. It looks like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, they've done it for now. You know, they've done it for now. But
this is actually a done deal in Columbus right
now.
Well,
that's what this was about. Was they ignored the original judge's order to go ahead and put this in place. Now, I guess Fairfield County also is covers into Columbus, and the Attorney General himself went and filed a petition with the courts in Fairfield County to put a halt to it. And that's what this particular article is about. This particular article, well, let me just go down here. It says that Yost request for the TRO in Fairfield County, where roughly 11,000 Columbus residents live, stems from a 2019 case in which Columbus requested a preliminary injunction against the state's uniformity law, which was basically put on hold. And they just said, stick it in your ass. You were not putting it on hold. I mean,
that sounds about right, don't it? That's actually illegal as hell.
Well, the reason that I wanted to get on here and bitch about it, and I'm not going to bore everybody by reading all this stuff over and over and over, whatever, but I'm going to say this, and this is what pisses me the hell off. And this is where I really get really, really fired up, is when I think about the fact that whether you like the law or not, whether you're a pro 2A guy or not, it doesn't matter. The fact that your elected officials take away rights, and they even deny your other elected judges that you elect in a position of the judicial system, when they put a ruling on it, say, no, wait a minute, we're gonna have to wait. We're going to have to wait and let the Supreme Court rule on this, because I think this is too gray.
Sounds like they should be removed from office, and we should have a bunch of empty seats in the Capitol right this minute. That's my opinion.
Isn't that funny? Like I said, okay, first of all, you have to realize, guys, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you the way I feel about things, guys. You guys know how I'm about freedom. I've said it very openly, and I'll never take it back. I want you guys to understand that if they take those guns, if they take the second, if they amend it any way whatsoever, do you think they're going to stop with that one? How long do you think that they're going to take the rest of them? Because they're not going to stop with that one. That's the one that holds their accountability. That's the one that's put in place, at least, to guarantee that they're going to do things right on paper, right? So you think if they can change that one, that they're not going to go ahead and change the first one?
Well, I mean, if they can disregard a judge's order and state and federal law, well, hell, they can disregard anything they want, can't they?
Evidently, they just write the damn rules up there, don't they?
Apparently so.
You're right. Easy to lose one freedom and hard to get it back. I promise you, Miss Tina, you're absolutely right. When you lose it, you ain't getting it back. I promise.
I mean, it almost sounds like they're tempting us with the second. You know what I mean? Like they're just tempting us to fight. Now, I'm pretty sure that if we learn to unite, if we learn to be responsible Americans, and we unite, we can take this on without ever firing a shot. Just saying.
I think that's what's important about the message that we spread. I think that's what's important about being what we are. I think that's what's important about looking at things positively, about trying to keep, well, Austin, if you live in California, buddy, you're going to have to move into the United States. I'm sorry. But you know, if we can maintain this, I hate to use the term grassroots, Terry. I do. I don't like that, but I guess that is maybe the best way to describe it. I don't know. But if we can make it to where people just realize that, guess what? Just because I love my firearms, just because I love my 2A rights, I promise you, I will never hurt you. I don't want to hurt anybody. I've never wanted to hurt anybody.
Well, now, under one condition. If you come at me to take my weapons away from me, if that's what you're coming at me for, you can have it as soon as I'm out of ammo, and if you're still walking, and you know, it don't matter how many's coming, I'll take out as many as I can. That's exactly what'll happen, and it don't matter if it's on the streets of Columbus, the streets of Ironton, or right here in my own front yard. That's how I feel about it. You know, otherwise, I have no reason to hurt anybody other than in self-defense, of course.
Sure. Well, and I say that. Let me clarify. I knew when I took an oath that there may be a possibility that I may have to take somebody's life. I prepared myself for that mentally, thinking that there's a possibility that in my job I might have to take somebody's life. But I've prayed to God that never happens, and God has protected me from that. And I've never had to be in that situation. And I pray that God continues to protect me from that, because I don't want to hurt anybody. I really, honestly, truly don't want to have to hurt anybody. That's not my thing. And I hope that it never, ever, ever gets to that point. But I promise you, just because I have my guns doesn't mean that I'm going to hurt anybody. Just because Terry has a gun doesn't mean he's going to hurt anybody. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
I think we've carried him long enough to prove that by now, haven't we?
I mean, I've carried a long time. But I'm trying to think of the best way to word this without sounding like I don't want to be taken wrong. So,
Well, good luck, man. This is the internet where you can say it plain and people still take it wrong.
so wait a minute. Let me go ahead and put some clips in there for people to dice up by tomorrow so that I can have them. I can be bashed on YouTube. You know how many times I've woke up and literally literally see the little notification that says such and such mentioned you in a comment or a post, and then I click on it and it's like my face, and like they take like little bits of context and like, going, damn it, man, that's not exactly the way I meant it. But nevertheless, but anyway, keep in mind that armed men don't mean they're violent men. Armed men are not violent men. Violent men are violent men, despite if they're armed or not.
You know what I have learned? When I walk in armed, usually the violence stops immediately. It always has, and it always will.
It very possibly will, and the reality is, even if it doesn't mean that you're taking part in it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because that's the way you got to look at it. Because let's face it, I carry a firearm just about everywhere I go, right? And just because I carry a firearm, I've openly said and I've openly practiced, I don't want to hurt anybody. And to think that our elected officials, that not only did they see that we've already passed the state law that says so, and that
apparently that's what scared them.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, was it? That we already had a constitutional right. And then it wasn't enough to go even further, right?
AZG girls saying, how about armed women? Armed women are the same as armed men. And if you can responsibly carry a weapon, I beg you to do it. I beg you to carry one. As long as you can responsibly do it, you should carry, man, woman, doesn't matter to me.
Well, let me tell you this. I used to teach, which I haven't taught for a little while. I've just been so, I've been so tied up on other things. And after the C word hit and everything kind of started changing a little bit, but I used to teach about 2 or 3 times a month. And I would teach classes on defensive tactics based on weapons retention and concealed carriers. I would teach women's self-defense, and I would teach defensive shotgun, and I would teach close quarters combat, room clearing, that type of thing. Those were the classes that I would teach. And I've taught lots of men and lots of women. I've taught, my kids are very efficient with firearms. And I can tell you this, it's harder to teach a man than it is a kid or a woman, because when they come in with a preconceived idea that I already know how to do this, I'm already a badass, it's really hard to teach them. But if you get somebody that comes in there like a kid that they don't know, then it's easy to teach them, right? Or women that come in and they know that I don't have any experience with firearms. Somebody please teach me. And it's really simple to teach them. But I'm a firm believer that if you have a legal ability, if your legal rights have not been removed for some reason, whatever it may be, whether it be a conviction of some type or whatever, that's not for me to decide. But if you have the legal ability to carry a firearm and you have the mental and or physical capacity to do so, then my statement to you, if you don't carry, would be shame on you. Because I used to say this a lot. I would rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Absolutely. Life Giant Films apparently feels that maybe they could no-knock raid me because of something I've said. Here's the interesting thing, Life Giant. I live in an interesting place in the country. There's one way in and one way out. That means that not even the cops will make it here without me knowing they're here before they make it here. So, yeah, when they come through that door, that's when it'll happen. Unfortunately, I hope they don't do that. I really do. But if they feel I'm that big of a danger, they could probably get me while I'm out. You know what I mean? I open carry everywhere I go. Obviously, I'm not really a threat. I'm only a
Well,
threat if they become a threat against me.
well, and let's keep in mind that your local law enforcement is not your threat, folks. I know a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between that, but your local law enforcement is at least 90% of the time not your threat when it comes to your Second Amendment rights. The only way that that becomes a threat is if it's an individual instance where there might be a potential law that's been broken with the firearm. But as far as your overall rights and being disarmed, as we've worried about in the past, that's going to be a federal thing. If that ever would actually come to be, I can promise you that that's going to be more of a federal thing. That the federal government's going to be the one that's going to be interested in taking your guns.
I'll tell you my theory on something like that, and it's just a matter of when they send us over to Iraq or Afghanistan, we walked into people's homes, we drug them out, men, women, and children, and disarmed them. That's what our American soldiers did. Now, they won't do it to us because they're Americans, but if you were to bring what they call peacekeeping forces in here from other countries, they'll have no problems kicking your door in to take your weapons, and they'll do it house by house. Watch them do it. That's
I've
exactly
seen it.
how it'll happen because they won't be from here when they send them in, and they'll have our military spread all over the world like they do now, like thin peanut butter on a cracker, and they won't be here to protect us. So we'll have to protect ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We are the militia.
Well, actually, you know what's there's actually a conservative thought behind that, and the guy he talked about the possibility of thirds. And what he speaks on is he says that there's a an ideal that a third of the military will maintain their constitutional oath. Okay. And they'll say, I understand that I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, and I'm not going to infringe on that constitutional right. I'm not doing it. Okay. Then there's going to be a third that are going to say, well, the commander in chief gave me an order to do so, and I have to follow orders. And they are under the impression that they swore an oath to the commander in chief. Your oath is not to the president. Your oath is not.
Right.
Your oath is to the people, the Constitution, to God. You swore to God, right? Hey, Mark, how are you? And that being said, and then there's another third that are going to say, screw this. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't know which way is right, but I ain't getting involved. Right. So that's the idea of the thirds. So it's a scary thing, man. And, it really is to think that could be in that situation. And I hope it never happens. Yes, you're right. Chili's blow up doll. And I just love saying that. You know how weird it's like some of the names that are on here, like Chili's blow up doll or Dick Insider. When I call out people and I'm like, hey, Dick Insider, hey, Chili's blow up doll, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of military people who have said that they are absolutely not, they would not ever act on that. And I would hope that they wouldn't. So, that being said, let's just hope that we can maintain these freedoms without ever having bloodshed, because that's not what we want. We want to keep peace and have love and freedom and just enjoy everybody and our freedoms and our hobbies and everything else without ever having to get to a bad situation. I hope so. But that really does bother me, man. When I seen that, in Columbus, and that really just kind of pissed me off, because that is not at all. I mean, it just the audacity, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't even just they making a rule on their own, but then it was challenged. It was challenged by the Attorney General's office, and they still said, screw you. We're doing it anyway. Then the Attorney General's office files a motion with the court of jurisdiction, the county, the common police court, the highest state court of jurisdiction in the area. And guess what? They said, screw you to that. I mean, hello, why are some people not literally being arrested for violating their oath of office? I mean, at what point do you say you're not God? You're not just going to go in there and just make the rules that you want to.
And they're not going to be by the assholes that oversee them. See, that's kind of the problem. It's almost like some of the police agencies where they police themselves and they say, oh, hell, we didn't see nothing done wrong. So until we, the people, call for it, they're not going to do a damn thing. That's why we need to unite and quit arguing with each other.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the positive that we see out of this is the fact that the Attorney General, who is obviously they call the top cop or whatever they call him, I think. But the fact that he is pissed off about this, there's very likely to be some criminal investigation taking place into this.
There should be.
He controls the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. He controls, the entire. He controls. Well, as a matter of fact, every peace officer, on my badge, it literally says, the seal in the middle of it says the Great Seal of the Attorney General, State of Ohio, on the center of my badge. So yeah.
Do you see that there by Dark Watch? He said, sadly, 95% of gun owners would give up their guns if authorities showed up the door and demanded them. And unfortunately, I think that might be true. And I've heard a lot of people here in the local area say some really dumb shit like, I'll bury mine. I got a buriable safe. I got them buried out back. And I'm thinking, well, hell, if you don't shoot the asshole that comes to get it, what the hell are you keeping it for is my question. Why do you have it?
Never mind. We can end it now, guys. We can end it. I forgot. My bad. Sorry. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. It's been a really great time, and I take back what I said because we've been reminded that help is on the way. Chili's on the way. When he's the gov, he'll fix everything. Speaking of which, is he still popping off his mouth at stupid shit? Does he ever stop?
Is he ever able to say anything other?
I wish I could have got Evan to come up here tonight. Evan got his letter, I guess, the copy of the letter that the attorneys, I guess, sent whatever to the court where he filed a lawsuit on Evan. Poor Evan. I don't know why, but anyway, so and it's basically this attorney's just destroying Chili. I mean, just making him look stupid. Which, I mean, let's face it, doesn't really take a whole lot to make Chili look stupid. So
AZ Jeep Girl is making a very good point. The problem is when you outlaw guns, only outlaws will possess guns because normal people will feel like they have to give them up to be law-abiding citizens again. So basically, you can't defend yourself.
No, wait a minute. Now, Terry, you're wrong, okay? Because you can put a sign up. You could put a sign up and it says no guns there.
No guns allowed. I forgot you could do that. Shit, I wish I'd have thought of that.
Hello?
That damn sign will stop a bullet too, especially if you cover it with an indestructible trifold.
You're damn right. And you can take a safety pin like the liberals were doing there for a while, and they would actually clip a safety pin on their shirt. You can't make this shit up. They would clip a safety pin on their shirt and they would say, this is my safety pin, and you can stand under it with me and be safe from potential being shot by a moron.
Check out that comment, sir. Mark the sarcastic law student says,
it's okay. Come back negative.
IQ test come back negative.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. He tested negative for IQ. Pat says, take your weapons fishing. Absolutely. I do too. I usually carry. As a matter of fact, I don't know. Terry, do you ever got strip mines and fish or anything?
Yes, I take it fishing, I take it hunting, I take it walking through Ironton, I take it auditing. You've seen me. I even took it Christmas light looking. I take it everywhere I go because it loves to get out. It hates to stay at home by itself.
Well, that's why I'm so mad at Sovereign, because that's gun that's gun abuse. You don't even take it out and walk your gun
to the wall.
You don't even take your gun out and walk it. Gosh, Sovereign, shame on you. At least Terry takes his out and walks it on a daily basis. It knows it's loved.
Right.
Well, I was gonna say, if you ever got 650 out there, the mines go fishing, then there's a lot of bass out there. You can catch a lot of good fish out there.
Absolutely.
But there's some shady mother crackers out there, bud.
Yes, there is. That's exactly why it is always nice to take your weapon walking with you. When everybody else sees it, they'll go be shady some damn where else.
I told my wife, and she was talking about taking the boys fishing and stuff one time, and I had to be at work, and I was like, nah, not out there. Not there. No. Gun or not without me. There's some shady ones out there.
I hate to interrupt, but Laura's right. Apparently, Jeebus tested positive for COVID today. So we want to send him some healing thoughts and prayers, please.
Absolutely. If you're the praying type, then please keep him in your prayers. I still believe that God's in the business of healing, and I don't think that's ever changed. And I think if you call on him, he'll show you that. So keep Jeebus in your prayers and make sure that not only for the healing, but the recovery too. Because when I had it, it kicked my butt for a long time. I was tired all the time. So
Sovereign said he has to feed his raw meat Kevin says he takes his to the bathroom. I do too. The only time I do not wear it is when I'm in the shower, and that's only because I do not have belt loops in there. If I could find a way to shower and still wear it, I would probably take it in there and clean it.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that that's the logical thought behind why you can't take it in the shower, not the fact that well, if I just had me a couple belt loops, I'd have that Glock 19.
Everybody thought I was nuts in basic training. You know what I did? I took my rifle into the shower with me. And man, I had everybody laughing at me. They thought I was a nut. And yet, when the drill sergeant came in to teach them how to clean a weapon, he grabbed mine out of the pile. And guess what? He couldn't find a dirty spot on that rifle anywhere. It was the cleanest one in the barracks. Everybody quit laughing at me then. See, I'm some dumb people. I ain't plumb dumb.
See, Sovereign says he keeps his Glock between his cheeks.
I'm not sure about that, but whatever works, man. Whatever works.
Hey, you know what? Hey, I don't know that I want to envision that, Sovereign. I don't know, but you know what? Good for you, buddy, because that gun's clean. So yeah. Oh, let's see. Laura says, I call foul. Terry just made me imagine him as a weird guy. Oh, I don't know how Terry made you imagine him as the weird guy. Too late for that.
Just know when I don't have belt loops, it's always, always, always within my reach. It's never outside of arm's length. All I have to do is extend my arm, and on the other side of the shower curtain, there it be. I promise you.
Well, let me tell you the way that I look at this. Some people, I'm going to get some people that are going to beat me up over this, but you know what? At this point, I don't really care. You guys know me well enough. You either like me or you don't. You know what? I'm still going to wake up tomorrow, and I'm still going to be loved by my family. I'm still going to be healthy because God's going to take care of me, and Jesus is still my Lord. So you don't have to like me.
That's why we're all here, man, because we do love and like you. That's why we're here watching.
Well, I appreciate that. And I just want to say this in all honesty. The reason why that I appreciate legal gun owners that do things the right way, that carry their firearm, is because those times where maybe my wife is at the grocery store, or maybe my children are somewhere, or maybe you're at the schoolhouse or whatever it may be, and a friggin' idiot comes in and decides they want to do somebody harm, and I'm not there. I may be at work, or I may be off doing something else. And I pray to God that if that ever happens, that there is a Terry there, or that there is a Sovereign there, or there is a whoever there that is a red-blooded American that loves freedom and loves good people to do good things, and says, you're not going to kill this lady and these kids around me, and you're going to get ventilated.
Damn right. We'll have to open you up, let a little air in. Apparently you're too hot inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tina said she's going to get me command strips for Christmas so I can put it in the shower with me.
Hey, you know what you could do? You could get those little, those little things that you hang those, what are those little scrubber things? Somebody put in the chat. What are those called?
Like a loofah?
Loofah. That's what they're called. Okay. You could get, how you have those little hooks where you put them in the shower? You could just have your little Glock hook up there, Terry.
Hey, that'll work. I mean, it's laying on the counter right outside, but I guess I could clip it in there with me so it didn't feel so lonely, between having a shower curtain between us.
See, I even have a little tiny.
That's the smallest pew I've ever seen.
Little baby Glock 17.
Did you see Scott's comment there, sir? It says, we love you, Leducator. You have a lot of people here to show it, and many more that will watch tomorrow.
Oh man, I appreciate that. And I love you guys. You guys keep me going, man. There are times that I'm going, gosh. And I'm like, man, and then I hear somebody say something on here. I'm like, man, that made my day. Yeah, Pat says Velcro. Get you some 3M, Terry. Put that up there on the shower.
Scott said Tina was talking about command strips so that I could pinch my cheeks together to hold my Glock in better.
Sovereign's already beat you to that, bud. It's too late. See,
well, apparently Sovereign's got his cheeks thoroughly worked out. I haven't tried to hold much in mine, so they might be a little weak. I'll have to practice some.
Well, you have to work it out. You have to train them butt cheeks to hold that.
Apparently so. You gotta remember though. I'm so tiny. I don't have much of a crack. I'm not sure I can get a Glock in it. Just like
well, think about this. Now keep this in mind, Terry. What about Sovereign, who not only does he chain his gun up, but he feeds his gun raw meat, so it's good and strong and healthy, full of protein.
Oh, I guarantee it.
So he's holding a lot of weight up there, bud. Here's my question:
He
Is it?
absolutely is.
He never said what gun he's putting in there. He might be holding it. He might be holding an AR-15. Oh my god!
There you go. You have to flex. You must at least flex the buttocks 20 times in the morning. I'll have to remember that tomorrow morning when I first wake up to make sure that I get my butt flexes in.
Remember, guys, when I tell you to train like you fight, I want you to start imagining that in your head. Sovereign.
Sovereign with his AR sticking out of his crack.
And he's training with his butt flexing every morning. Oh my gosh. And they say we can't be adults.
Well, we're talking about adults being able to do things I didn't even know adults could do. So there you go,
or even should be able to do.
I'll be damned if we grow up. We're having too much fun at the age we're at now.
You know what? I'm a firm believer when you grow up, you die.
Right. Well, you don't stop playing because you get old. What happens is when you stop playing, that's when you get old.
Read that one, Terry.
Breaking news. Columbus City Council bans high-capacity magazines and butt cracks effective immediately. You damn right you can't put them there. That's not proper storage at all. You cannot store them in the prison wallet.
It literally listed right there in the Columbus ordinance. It says part of the example of what the elements would be is no butt crack storage within city limits, please, sir.
And there you go. Sovereign's giving us a safety warning. If you flex too hard, you might shoot yourself in the foot. So be very, very careful. Either that or you might open up a second butthole, depending on the orientation.
Yeah, you can't be too careful. You can't be too careful.
Well, you get in the shower and get it wet, it's liable to slide a little bit. You got to be careful with that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's something you got to worry about now. Well, this really took. You know what? I'm just waiting. You know what I'm going to see, guys? I'm going to see. Normally I get those when I have my little live streams. I get that little yellow dollar sign for my monetization. You wait till YouTube reviews this one. They'll be like, what the hell? Like, you can't do that.
You can't suggest people carry weapons. You cannot suggest that people carry weapons in their ass. What are you doing, Legicator?
I told you guys I would teach you tactical ways. This is beyond any training you ever received right now. I promise you. You're never going to hear anybody else tell you to do this. Oh, yeah, I know. I know, Scott. You're right. We've literally ran the train. There ain't even a train anymore. There's not even tracks, bud. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely went south. That's for sure. So
yeah, how much more entertainment can you find?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was crazy. So yeah. So anyway, oh yeah, I was going to highlight this one. I just seen that pop up. Yep, you did it too, didn't you? I love that Chili's effort to divide your local community resulted in bringing us all together. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome that he in his intention, he thought he was going to make everybody hate the police and hate this and hate that and whatever. And the reality is all he done was brought more attention to us to where they realized that, wow, those guys are like, well, okay, I'm not going to say normal because, I mean, obviously I just talked about having guns in your butt crack. But, okay, there was the clip. There was the clip right there. Somebody will say, okay, I'm not going to say I'm normal because I just talked about having guns in your butt crack. And that'll be on somebody's video tomorrow morning. Watch and see.
That is meme worthy. That is absolutely meme worthy right there.
Flat Derp is going to see that. And I'm going to get derped again.
Daisy Jeep Girl says she's very thankful to live in Arizona. She said, we have open carry without a concealed carry regulation. Everyone can open carry. Welcome to the Wild West. Well, we can here too, and we can legally conceal without a permit unless you're in the city of Columbus, evidently, is what I'm learning tonight.
You're right. Yeah, Stephen, you're right. There's not even a cornfield, bud. We literally knocked down the cornfield. We're so far gone, it's not even good.
Hey,
Um,
sir, I want to address this one. He says, I defend the right to open carry, but a bad guy who carries concealed has a major advantage in almost all situations. Well, see, Dark Watch, the interesting thing here is 99% of the men and women here actually carry concealed. I'm one of like maybe 5 people who actually carry open, and there's several reasons I do. Number one, it's mainly for educational purposes. You'd be surprised how many people ask me about it in a week, because they don't know the carry laws. Secondly, I have already agreed to be the unsung hero of the bunch. So when that asshole who intents harm pulls his weapon and shoots me, I know that all the concealed carriers will make him a pincushion and my death will actually mean something. I took one for the team. So I've agreed to do that. I don't mind being the target. I just expect the concealed carriers to do their job.
did you notice how we had a couple people come in at the same time going, "What the hell?"
All they heard was guns and butt cracks, man. You hate walking in on half a conversation.
You guys are like, "Wait a minute. I've never heard Legigator talk about stuff like this. He's losing his mind." No, I'm not losing my mind. I lost it a long time ago. But yeah, it's all about having fun, and the fact that Sovereign literally talked about carrying his gun in his butt crack kind of opened things up. I guess I don't know. I don't know if it was him or Terry, but somebody did. It was funny. So yeah, we're just being silly. But let me tell you this: I really am a firm believer that you need to practice your Second Amendment right if you live in the States, and if you have the capacity. You have the mental capacity, the physical capacity, and the legal capacity to do so, then please do so. Please do so because you won't be sorry. Get yourself some training. Do some time at the range. Go get your time with an instructor. Do the things you're supposed to do, and then
But make
after,
but make sure you don't just take the range at the instructor. When you go to get your training, make sure that's not the only training. Make sure you continue that
oh,
training on your own because you do not get enough there to competently
mm-mm,
carry a firearm. I'll be honest with
never,
you.
never. As a matter of fact, I'm a firm believer that it's just like anything else, and I tell my guys this all the time at the PD. They'll ask, how many times, do you shoot or whatever? And I'm kind of like embarrassed to say because I'm like pretty much all the time. But anyway, so they'll say things like, well, I qualified, I do this and this and this. And I say, okay, well, let me remind you of this, and I'll ask a question for the chat. If you're going to have surgery and your doctor uses his scalpel once a year, how confident would you be in him actually doing your surgery if you didn't practice but once a year? Now, remember, this is a device that could potentially keep you alive or keep your children alive or keep somebody else's children alive. So I promise you, you need to shoot as much as you possibly. And ammunition is very expensive. It's very expensive.
Yes, it is.
But it's still, honestly, you're making an investment. You're making an investment in your safety.
I agree with Baby Doll Ironton there. She says you need to start training so you can train some of us. And we've talked about it before. And when you get that opportunity, I'm still looking forward to that defensive pistol class and many others because I don't get near as much training as I wish I did.
If you guys look up Edwards Training Center, Edwards Training Center on Facebook, I am an instructor there. And I have not been active there for a while because obviously my hours at work and everything kind of plays a factor in that. But they still have some wonderful instructors up there. And if there's enough people in the local area that would want to get together and do a class, then by all means, I can do that. Not a problem.
AZ Jeep Girl makes a good comment there. No one should open or concealed carry if they are not confident in their skills. That's why I always say those who can responsibly carry, being responsible and understanding your weapon and how to use it will make you confident. And I agree. If you're not confident, you should not carry because you're going to hurt yourself or someone that you didn't mean to.
And Steven, absolutely, buddy. If we ever get the opportunity and I don't even know what area you're from, but I would love to shoot with you, buddy. Wouldn't bother me a bit. Chili's blow up doll. I love that. I'm sorry, but I think that's hilarious. What do you think of nonviolent felons being able to exercise? I really, to be honest, I think because there's so many laws that are kind of stupid, you know what I mean? Like so many felonies that are like, why the F is that a felony anyway? I think it's, I think nonviolent crimes, there's no reason why you should lose your rights. That's just my opinion. Despite felony, misdemeanor, whatever, if you're not hurting anybody, then you should be able to exercise your rights. That's just my opinion.
I agree completely. And even some of the so-called violent offenders, the Constitution, the state and the federal, do not limit it because, and here's the only reason. If we are being invaded, we literally have to fight in our front and backyards like the Civil War. Wouldn't you want to give that violent asshole a gun and let him take a few of them out? Because I would. I'm just saying that might be the best guy to have on your side.
Well, we've seen that countless times in history when it comes to war. I mean, there's been many times in war that they've actually got people out of prisons and stuff and armed them and said, you can fight for your potentially freedom. So yeah, that's not unheard of, and in my opinion, I think if you're not a violent criminal and you're not some kind of pedophile, because, how I feel about that. I think, just my opinion.
Right.
I think
right.
if you do something nasty to a kid, well, I'll keep my thoughts to myself. I don't think we're going to be able to rehabilitate you. I think God needs to deal with you myself. But
well, I tell you what, before God gets a hold of you, I would love it to be Ironton Auditor's job to hack your pecker off with the dull edge of a butter knife. I mean, the backside where it's flat. That way, every time they ever have to use the bathroom again in their lives, they have to remember what they did to that child every single day. That's what I think.
I couldn't agree more, buddy. And I'm a firm believer that there's no fixing that. Just my opinion. I think that's something that if you look at a child that way, then I've got my opinions, but I personally think if you look at a child that way and you want to do something nasty to a child, well, I'm not going to speak on that because I don't want people to think I'm violent or mean, because I'm not. That's, we are very, we're very blessed that that we have freedoms and rights and stuff. And I don't think that a nonviolent felony should keep you from them. That's my opinion.
And I agree.
So, and Chili's Blow Up Doll says the Foreign Legion is totally made up of ex-convicts. I did not know that. That is news to me. I was unaware. I've always wondered how that worked, Terry.
I got to be honest. I don't know anything about the.
I don't either. Like the French Foreign Legion. You've heard that. You know what I mean? Like with the French Foreign Legion or whatever, and run off and join that or whatever. And I don't know how that works, but that may be something that's news to me. I don't know.
There you go, Stephen, talking about that tactical spoon.
Yeah. Or a sign. I'm still all about the signs, guys. You can just put up a sign. You just put up a sign that says no guns. Hello.
Put up a sign, and always carry your indestructible trifold just in case you need a quick bulletproof vest.
Right. It's completely indestructible. It actually will take a nuclear blast. And actually completely you're fine. I wanted to talk about something else. And Terry, you might know what's going on. Somebody in the chat tell me. I got to peek in just a little bit yesterday on Hezekiah's stream of these guys, that Denver Metro audits guy or whatever. I don't know who these people are, but I was just overhearing, and they were talking about they went out and acted silly or something. I don't know. I don't know what the details of it was, but a bunch of people got arrested yesterday or something like that. Does anybody know anything about that?
I must have missed all the details on that. I was in Hezekiah's stream just briefly, as I usually do, popped in and out, so I didn't get to hear what they were talking about. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows, though. I know they were telling me that Earl Warden, I guess, was he got 20 years without the possibility of parole, is what I'm understanding. That's what they were telling me tonight.
Now, what was his deal? Was he
Well, they told me, I didn't know, and I don't know, but they told me that he was actually, I guess, raping one of his own children, one or more. And so anyway, that's one of those guys I say we should take the butter knife to, like right on the courthouse lawn, and televise it so everybody can see it. But they call that cruel and unusual. But I think people like that are cruel and unusual, and that, I think it fits. I think drastic stuff needs drastic measures taken. That's just, if we did something like that, maybe other people would think before they did it.
So this guy, I just see Pat just said that he raped his own daughters. Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, and I normally don't talk like this, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a heads up. If you're that kind of piece of shit, and you do something to a child of anybody's child, but especially some sick bastard that does something to their own kids, you don't need your dick cut off. You need literally to get gutted.
Yeah,
And
but see
literally,
that's too easy. They die too quick. I'm an asshole. I want them to live forever with it.
I shouldn't let talk nasty like that or whatever. And I don't mean to, but I'm, and I don't, and I promise you guys, I give you my word that I still defend everybody's constitutional rights. And there's been many times that I've had, when I was a detective, guys, I've had to actually do interviews with pedophiles, with people who'd actually sexually assaulted children. And I'm going to tell you, as a dad, as just kind of a regular dude, sitting there with these fuckers and trying to talk to them and trying to not show my anger when I'm talking to them is not easy to do, buddy. When you're in there talking to them and you're going, okay, tell me more. And really down deep, I really don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear
Right.
this.
Right. I can imagine. Well, I really can't imagine. I can take a good guess, but there's no way that I'm going to be that calm. I'm glad I'm not a police officer, sir. You got bigger balls than I do. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I can tell you right now, buddy, there's still a lot of times that you kind of relive and rehear nasty things like that, and you're just like, you nasty mother. I mean, just, but I used to, I tell you what, I actually got to the point where I got so, what's the word I'm looking for here? I hate to say I got so confident, because it wasn't confidence, but I got so consumed. That's a good word. I got so consumed with catching these guys, with proving it, right, that I almost obsessed over it, Terry. I literally obsessed, and I would sleep and I would wake up, and I would literally wake up in the middle of the night when I was a detective, and it would drive me crazy. I'd have to go into the office and type what I was thinking about the case or make my notes. Because, I would be like, oh, wait a minute, we got to do this. Oh my gosh, why didn't I think about doing this or whatever? And I got so much obsessed with catching these guys that I would talk to them like they're my buddy. And I would talk to them and be like, you know what? I understand, buddy. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, you sick piece of shit, man. And you know what? Let's move on from this. I don't miss
We're treading in
those days.
dangerous territory, aren't we?
I don't miss those days, and I try to forget about it. Right now, I'm a captain on the road, and I watch my guys, and I keep them safe, and I make sure they do the thing. And I'm over that major crime stuff and doing those type investigations. I don't have to mess that stuff much anymore. When that kind of stuff does happen, I call out detectives that used to do what I done, and then I don't have to worry about it. So.
Well, see, for all those people that hate all police officers, know that there are some out there that do have to do these kind of jobs. And that's why I say things like, I'm glad that they do their job so that I don't have to. Because if they didn't, I would have to. And so would you.
Yeah. Well, that was a long time ago. And I don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. So, but anyway, so the bottom line is, guys, and that's kind of what all this started over, was thinking about rights and thinking about how crazy that Columbus was getting, because these friggin' morons, and they don't realize that they act stupid. So we have to remind them that they act stupid. And it's my job to get on YouTube and make sure that everybody knows when they're stupid. So congratulations to the entire city of Columbus City Council. Congratulations. You made my stupid list. Consider yourself hereby legicated.
There's you go. Legislate them, sir.
There's another one of those click moments. The little boop, clip that out there. Yeah, it can be. It can be really trying. And I've had to do some stuff that I don't like. And that includes, a little bit of everything. I've had to be around a lot of stuff bad. So.
Well, while we are in the company of a captain and a sergeant, Blue Bear out there is a sergeant, let me say to both of you that I appreciate what you do. And again, because you do your job, I don't have to be there to do it. So thank you to you two gentlemen who actually have the balls and the guts to do what you do, so that the rest of us citizens can go on with our lives without having to do any of that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do. And honestly, it's weird the way that I kind of perceive my job. because, I remember when I very first come out of the academy and, it was kind of like, I'm going to change the world. Right. And then when you start realizing that that's really not within reach, but if you could just kind of make good changes to even small little aspects, um, then you can make a positive influence on somebody or do something good. That's what matters. I've had people come up to me and tell me, things that really blessed me, and stuff that I didn't even think about, and stuff that I could have done without my job. It just so happened that my job maybe put me in the position to do something, but it was able to bless somebody else, and then in return, I was able to get a blessing out of it. So, I'll settle for that. It makes me very, very happy to be able to do nice things and see nice things happen to people. So, I didn't see what that one was, Terry, that you highlighted there, buddy. Yes, thank you.
That was Mark, the sarcastic law student. He was saying it worries him that one day he might find himself having to defend one of those people.
Yeah, Mark, honestly, buddy, I don't envy that. And I'll tell you this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this on public forum here. And this hurts me. This hurts me to say, but a lot of our defense attorneys are really good people. They're good human beings. And I know a lot of them, and I consider a good deal of them my friends. Guys that I go against in trials when I was a detective, especially, and they would eat me up on a stand, and I'd give it right back to them, and we'd be in the heat battles. And I've had the judge rip my ass from the bench before for the way that I conducted myself on a stand, because I'd be so pissed off.
Can be hard to hold it back at times.
Oh yeah, because I know, you know what I mean. Like, I know what you're doing. I'm going, you little mother, because you're just trying to, but whatever. So anyway, and because of that, I was thinking back, sorry, but because of that, I have personal relationships with some of these guys, and these guys are good people. There's a lot of them that are really, really good people. There's some of them that are assholes. Honestly, there's some of them that are assholes, and they're kind of slimy, but there's some of them that are really good people, and they're just doing what they think is right, and they're defending the rights of these people the same way that I'm expected to. And the same way that I hold myself to, because they're still granted rights. We still have to make sure that even if they are a complete piece of shit, they still have the right to due process of law, to guarantee their freedoms the way that the Constitution intended. And sometimes that's what these attorneys have to guarantee. So it's tough.
Unfortunately, we have to guarantee their day in court, whether we like it or not. And did you see that comment, sir?
I did not. Can you try that one again there for me?
It's already up there. It says we need a Bear and Chad show. Bear and Captain, make it happen.
Hey, there you go. We've actually Blue Bear and I have actually done a few before. But yeah, absolutely. I enjoy having Blue on my panel and being on his panel. We have a good time together. Yeah, the Sovereign says attorneys eat their young. Sovereign, are you sure?
Do you know why? Do you know why sharks do not bite lawyers, Educator?
Please tell me.
It's a professional courtesy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Why not? Yeah, it makes perfect sense. How dare them? Oh my gosh, that's good stuff. Yeah, it's funny too, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to challenge somebody right now. Put the next person. Come on, somebody crack me a joke in the chat. I want to see does anybody got any good attorney jokes while we're on them? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I'm a policeman. So if you got any jokes that are talking shit about firemen or attorneys, I'm game. Right? Oh, I love my fire brothers and everything. I'm just being silly. But Sovereign says he's just kidding. Are you sure? Are you sure you're just kidding? Go feed your gun.
go practice your squats and your chip collection.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Funny. But yeah, and that's the thing too, is like these guys, they have a job to do, and I understand that. So I don't hold that against them too much.
Well, some of them have a job to do. Some of them pretend to do a job. That's why I label a lot of them as public pretenders, because they seem to be more on the prosecution side by trying to get you a deal rather than trying to prove your innocence. Just saying. I've had a little personal experience. I know.
Yeah, and there's some of them too that not only that, but there's some of them too that they just, whether it's prosecution side or not, they just go the path of least resistance. They don't care. They just don't care if they're on the prosecutor side or your side. They want to get this over with as fast as they can. You know what I mean? They're just lazy. I think would be the word.
Really, they're getting paid either way. So if they don't have to go to trial and they spend a couple of days doing it, hell, that's money in their pocket. They didn't really have to work for. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's why they call them sharks, man.
We got a medic down here. That's okay. I'm sorry. First of all, I said fireman. I didn't say medic specifically. And most of our firemen, there's a few. I think we have a few medics on our FD, but I think most of them are just EMTs. So yeah, but yeah, I appreciate all my second responder brothers. Anybody? Come on, there's got to be somebody that realizes what I'm talking about. We give the fire department a big hard time because everybody refers to first responders as in fire, EMS, police, but I've never been told to stage when I'm going to a call and wait for the fire department to clear it. Just saying. But I've sure had to clear many scenes before the fire department or EMS came in. I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Calm down. You don't have to beat me up emotionally. Oh no, I'm being silly.
Well, I guess theoretically, a fireman should never have to worry about a cold shoulder, should he?
No, not only that, but they get to snuggle with each other in the firehouse.
Hey, there you go. I hadn't thought of that one. That sounds like a job for Chili. He's in the wrong profession.
Maybe that's why he kind of aggravates the police so much, is because down deep he's a fireman.
Oh, I get it. So yeah.
Good night, baby doll Ironton.
Now. Good night, baby doll. Thanks for coming.
But yeah, maybe he's just a fireman and he's trying to been snuggling with his FD buddies.
I bet he can hold a lot in his cheeks.
I'm not going there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail the trade again.
I'm not going there. Oh, Jess, come on.
He's got big cheeks. He's got big cheeks, man.
Do you know how many structure fires I've beat with my FD on and had to get people out of houses? Come on now. I never wait to see if the FD's there before I go. Never. We beat them to probably 95% of structure fires every time. But nevertheless, I'm just giving them a hard time. I love my brothers. Just being silly. But and that's the thing too, is does Sovereign have one?
Hey, Blue Bear wants a link. He'll come and hang out.
Okay. Read that one while I'm doing that, Terry.
He said, this blonde's house catches fire and she calls 911. Help, my house is on fire. The dispatcher says, how do we get there? The blonde says, duh, big red truck. Jeez.
Is that the tactical term for it? The big red truck? Oh, Lord have mercy me. Steven says 30 minutes response. That's a shame. But you know what? Honestly, I don't want to speak ill of the PD. I don't know what PD that is, but sometimes they're so short staffed. And I want you guys to know I don't really mean what I'm saying about the FD and the medics and stuff. I'm just being silly. I would literally go to war for them anytime. We just have a little camaraderie with each other. Yeah, rural areas. Yeah. A lot of times around here, Stephen, our sheriff's office is 45 minutes and more. Yeah, because it's a big county. And then, because they're so short staffed, the deputies get there as fast as they can, but it could take 45 minutes to get across the county,
There you go. Scott Hubert says, how many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? 54. Okay. 54. 8 to argue, 1 to get a continuance, 1 to object, 1 to demur, 2 to research precedents, 1 to dictate. 1 to dictate a letter, 1 to stipulate, 5 to turn in their time cards, 1 to dispose, 1 to write interrogatories, 2 to settle, 1 to order a secretary to change the bulb, and 28 to bill for professional services.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's a lot of attorneys there, buddy. But
how you doing tonight, Sergeant Blue Bear?
Oh, I'm doing good. AZ Jeep Girl, I was just giving the firefighters a little bit of grief. It's a camaraderie thing. It's nothing serious or personal.
Well, sure, absolutely. Um, let's see, and the partridge
And
in
to
a pear
finish that
tree.
one
That's right.
off, yes, the partridge in a pear tree, just to finish that one off completely.
That's right. That's right, Sovereign. We have to make sure we get that partridge and pear tree in there to finish it off. So,
You two need to do better at checking your DMs. I've been trying to get you to get me up here since you started.
oh, I didn't have my phone. I literally put my phone off to the side.
You
I'll check.
don't keep that in your cheeks?
No, I can't because that's where my Glock is.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I didn't get anything from you, Blue.
You should have.
Oh, it just now loaded up. Swear to you, just now loaded up.
Yeah, I sent it at 22:35.
Yep.
So when you tell me to check my DMs, are you talking about on Discord?
Yes.
That's where you're screwing up with me. I hardly ever get on there. Sorry about that, Sergeant.
Yeah, see, that's I don't use it, Blue.
I know. That's why I communicate with you through the other means.
I can't quite get there, buddy. I wish. I would have a lot more. I'd have a lot more contacts, I think, if that was the case. But I just can't already do it, man. It gets on my nerves.
We're gonna have to exchange numbers that way I can just text you.
Yeah, I know. I've honestly meant to do that with you anyway, and I just keep forgetting because at the time we get done talking about what we want to talk about on Facebook, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh well, by the way, so until the next time. So yeah,
there's a little tip for you where to store your phone, sir.
Gotta store that on there. Oh, okay. Pro tip, yeah.
Keep it on vibrate.
Well, yeah.
Call me again. Okay, call me again. Okay, call me again.
Oh Lord have mercy. Oh gosh.
So it'd be a whole day of phone calls you never answer, right?
Yeah, you'd never get Blue to answer his phone then.
Well,
Hey, it's I guess that's one way of looking at things. I don't know. Is y'all got to find a positive way. Be like, well, I'm never going to answer my phone, but hey, Doc Danger, how are you, sir? Yeah. So, but yeah, the camaraderie that police and fire have with each other is kind of what Terry, you actually got to witness a little bit tonight. I was hanging out with the fire laddies over there, on that crash, which my guys were working on getting the information.
I was going to say, were you snuggling on the couch with them again?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, bud, let me tell you something. I go over there just every now and then when my blood pressure is not high enough, and I go over to the firehouse to do a little inspection, and when I go in there and I'm going, wow,
with their 17 recliners and
oh yeah,
each has their own bedroom, and
when they've got their big screen TVs and their recliners, and they go shopping together and buy steaks and stuff and cook on the grill while they're at work. And then they have their own gym in there to work out or whatever. And, and I'm going, wow, I should have been a fireman.
Well, technically all that stuff is owned by the city.
Oh, which I have to say, my guys have blatantly said that, that I'm more than welcome to come over and hang out with them or whatever, but I just never have time. And we're always running. We don't have time to get to stop. Yes, Pat, steaks. Now, granted, the city's not paying for that. They literally go shopping on their own dime, but they'll fire up the grill out there when it's nice weather and grill out steaks. Oh yeah.
See, what you ought to do is run over there when they're doing that, spray it down with a fire extinguisher and tell them it's a fire hazard.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Dark Watch, I just want to tell you, I just got a notification when I picked up my phone. Thank you so much, man, for the Cash App. That's very kind of you. God bless you. I appreciate you very much. And that really does mean a lot. And that goes a long way. I promise, that you're very, very kind. And Terry and I have actually talked about that and your kindness and generosity. And it's truly a blessing. Thank you very, very much. There is a course for learning. What, you know what? I don't know that one. Okay. I don't know that.
What exactly would that draw be called? Is that like the draw from Down Under? I mean, how do you term that one?
I think Chili calls that the quick receive, not the quick draw.
Oh, that's only when you're putting it in there though, Bear.
Well, that's all he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. You know, and it feels like every single time. And you know what? Brandon's not even here to make this go completely south. You know, I mean, if Brandon was here, then this would go a lot worse with you guys. There's no doubt in my mind.
Hey, Legicator, Jess
Yes,
wants to make sure you know to always go over to the firehouse around mealtime. Apparently, that's the
I.
best time to go.
You know what? What's funny was tonight, Terry, when you saw us there, they actually said, "Hey, we made spaghetti. If you want to come over to have some," and I said, "Spaghetti." He's like, "Well, yeah, but well, there might not be any left." I was like, "Oh, well, thanks a lot." You know.
Well, you could walk through the place and smell it anyway.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey,
Uh,
maybe they'll let you slide down their pole.
You know what? You want to hear something funny? They don't have one.
Uh-oh. How do they get from the top to the bottom?
But you know what? I was so disappointed when I went in there and found out that they got this state of the art fire department and there's no pole.
Well, it's not very state of the art, is it?
No. Well, you know, and I said, well, and here's ready for the rim shot if you want to, but I said, well, it's because they're always sliding on each other's poles and they don't have to need one in their, I'm kidding. I love you guys playing.
Love you like a rattlesnake anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, let me see if I can find it.
I know you're going to. Yeah.
No, I don't think I've got it downloaded.
Sovereign's giving you a good piece of advice too, especially if you're cheap carrying. He said, catch that hammer in your butthole. It's a bad day. So the hammerless 357 prevents this. The more you know.
But you know what? And now you're in the know. That's some more legication brought to you by Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind. That is Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind with your legication of the day. Yeah, is that right? I didn't know that most departments don't have them because of safety. I really didn't know that. You know, honestly, I always wondered what was the point of that. Like, I mean, why not just like,
why not just make it all one floor instead of having to go upstairs to stay?
Well, and that's what I was going to say is our fire department, their actual bunk area and stuff and their kitchens, it's all on it's on one floor.
Well, see, they just for shits and giggles, they should make a spiral staircase so they can climb it and slide down the pole just for tradition's sake. They're firemen, for God's sake.
Well, not only that, but I've yet to see a damn Dalmatian.
I thought you had to know why a lot of departments had fire poles in bigger cities like New York, LA, Chicago.
I really honestly don't know.
A lot of the fire departments, you know, in bigger cities, you have smaller footprints to build. So the trucks are on the first floor, the firefighters stay and wreck on the second floor.
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, because they have to get down the pole than it is everybody go down the stairs.
Right. They have to build up, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to understand that. Yes, sir.
Did you know that we had been gifted by ZXL Master? He's made gifts of us.
Is that right? Like what kind of gift? Like
well, you'll have to go to his channel and check it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Like
I actually shared the one he did of mine on my community page.
Awesome. If you can, Terry, is there any way you can go over to his channel and pull it up and share, and I'll share the screen if we can find it?
Yeah, give me a second. I don't know if my internet will let me do it, but I'll try it.
Here, hang on. I can do it. I'm on there.
You know what, Stephen? You know what? Thank you. More legication brought to you from my subscribers right here. Right. Folks, this is free. This is free knowledge.
That fixes the OSHA problem. You can let the damn truck slide down the pole and it's safe for everybody because they can have their seatbelts on when they do it. That's a great idea.
Why didn't we think about that? This is all free of charge. You're getting all this legication right here brought to you by Legicator subscribers and family and friends, and it's not costing you a penny.
Hey, Chad,
now the only question I have,
there you go.
How the hell do you get them back on the second floor?
Well, Terry, you have to put steps in. I mean, it's common sense, Terry. You have to put steps.
I know.
Gosh,
well, you know, I'm not common, sir. I don't have any sense.
There's yours, Legicator.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can get this up there.
It's already up there.
I'm going to pull it all up so I can see it. Oh, cool. That's very cool, man. Very, very cool. Sweet.
And then there's Terry's.
Very cool. Awesome.
ZXL Master said he got a new toy, so we're getting to witness it a bit.
Excuse me. Well, thank you very much, ZXL. That is too cool.
Pretty cool mod, isn't he? Having all kinds of fun out there playing with our videos. I like it.
Oh, ZXL is by far the best in the business, brother. He is on it when it comes to making sure that everybody knows what we're doing and going on. That's awesome. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, that's really cool. And I noticed too that he's really, really on it. When he's making sure that everybody knows and he's sharing the streams and stuff. It's always out there well in advance. And sometimes I'm thinking, my gosh, like he's on as fast as I am.
You wanted a joke, sir. There you go. Definition of a Yankee, same as a quickie, but you do it yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And there's ZXLs.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, ZXL is awesome. Awesome. Oh man, that's really cool. Now you guys, man, I'll be honest, and I've said this a lot of times, and I mean it sincerely. I really do believe that our community in YouTube is the best there is. Some of the best people ever. I mean, the kindness of these people and the way that they're they always have something nice to say. They always kind of have your back, and yeah, it's a blessing, truly a blessing. Thank you guys so much. And I mean that sincerely.
What a community that has welcomed us into it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, and I'll speak for myself. I think I'm probably safe to speak for Terry and probably Blue as well. But letting our goofy hillbilly asses in,
they weren't sure what they were doing till it was done too late, huh?
Yeah, it's like, well, we just felt sorry for you guys. So, and what's funny is when people will talk about they'll talk about Tater and they're like, man, you do that character so well. I'm like, no. I do the Legicator character so well. Tater's who I really am.
it takes all day for you to practice to be Legicator, don't
it? Oh yeah, heck yeah. Oh, that's good stuff, man. I love it.
He gets out of his cruiser and he's like, Tater, stay in the box.
I get out and I'm like, y'all call did you call the police or something? Oh man. Yeah, that's good times. So Blue, what do you think about that stuff in Columbus, man? What's your first instinct on that?
Well, did you not see my comment?
I was just reading so many as they were going by. I can't recall.
I said, it sounds to me like the people who signed that into policy for the city need to spend a little bit of time in the Lucasville State Penitentiary for violating the law.
You would think so, wouldn't you? Can you imagine if one of us were to completely disobey a judge's order? Can you imagine?
Yeah, I'm not going to do it because I don't do well in prison.
No, they would put me up. They would put me in jail immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
If I was to disobey a judge's order, I would go to jail. And to think that not only did they disobey a judge's order, but they'd done it basically twice. And the attorney general of the state saying, chill out, and they're still going, like, wow, you guys are ballsy.
Legicator, I agree with
that on a call on April Fool's Day.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with Steven. You need to pull some of that shit. That would be way too funny, man. I need to be there with a camera. You need to have yours rolling because that would be
what would be even funnier is him pull you over on April Fool's Day and be Tater.
Hey, that works for me.
One word for you: bet. Because I can tell you right now, I have no shame. Like literally, like my wife's asleep, so I'll go ahead and say this. I'll go, we'll be like at Walmart or something. And like when it's really, really busy and we walk by the pharmacy and I'll like yell at her and tell her to go get her herpes medication. It's like, she's like, oh my gosh, shut up, shut up, shut up. You're so stupid. People are really going to believe that. I'm like, honey, aren't you supposed to be picking up your Valtrex? You know, so, and she gets all
dear
mad at
God,
me.
You live dangerously, my friend.
Oh, I do. But I have so much fun with it. And I'm so good at being stupid. Like, I've learned that I'm really, really good at being immature. So why try to do anything else?
You want me to give you a terrible one?
I would love for you to give me a terrible one.
This is terrible, guys. I'm going to warn you right off. You can always look at her and say, look, yes, I know I was born from one, but that's the first one I ever seen I could walk back into.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going there, Terry.
I told you it was bad. I wasn't kidding, man.
Legicator, when you do decide to grow a set and do that one, let me know, because I want to be there to record it.
You guys are much more likely to get to see Tater.
He's definitely going to need some first responders, Sergeant, if he says some shit like that.
Oh,
to
no,
her, I guarantee it.
She just going to hit him in the off switch.
She's going to warm him up.
I can promise you, you guys are most definitely more likely to see Tater on a traffic stop than to see me speak like that. Because I definitely wouldn't talk nasty. Like the only reason I say that about the Valtrex thing is just because she cringes.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's funny. And yes, just to dip, my wife doesn't have any nasty stuff like that, just for the record.
Just to clarify.
How about that one, sir? How about that comment? Stephen Alley says he likes dropping boxes of condoms into carts with people with screaming kids.
Now I can see Chad doing that in Walmart.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think that's beautiful. What? That's art. That is what that is. That is pure art to think about that and say, hey, excuse me, would you please do us a favor?
You drop it in there without them knowing.
Oh, no, I would do it. No, we got to raise the bar, Blue. You go up to them and tap them on the shoulder and say, excuse me, on behalf of society, do us a favor.
Research these and learn how to use them.
Have you seen the guy that goes into like Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot and picks up the intercom and parts in it?
Yes. I was doing the Cartnarks thing the other day and I done that on a stream. Have you guys watched this guy?
Yeah.
He's an idiot, but it's hilarious because man, I'm telling you, man, some of these guys get so pissed off at him. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're playing with fire. Like, you're going to get your ass whipped. Like, somebody's
good old boy, have a good night.
Hey, good night, good old boy. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. Did I ever tell you I worked security for a while, Captain?
I think so, yeah.
Well, while I was working security at St. Mary's Hospital, they give me this little pad of parking tickets, right? And they don't charge you anything. It's just if you get 3 or more within a certain amount of time, they may, and it's, they don't ever do it, but they may have your car towed. So they give me this thing and tell me to hand them out. You'd be amazed at how many people wanted to start a fist fight over a parking ticket that didn't mean shit. Especially with my tiny little ass standing there issuing it. You know what I mean? They're not immediately intimidated by my size.
Educator, he finally got an idea what it feels like to be a policeman.
Oh, they getting yelled at part at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, I come home from that job with a black eye once. I've come home with several handprints. You'd be amazed at how the people that are going to the psych ward, they like literally think we're trying to kill them and we're just trying to hold them down so the doctor can like give them a shot. It can get very rough and very violent. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. And like I say, that's as close to being a cop as I ever wanted to get. That little bit of taste was enough, and I don't ever want to do it again.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that what's funny is like. I've had black eyes. I've been punched. I've been kicked. I've been bit. I've been cut with a knife. I've had a lot of things happen over my 16 years.
Wait till you pull me over on April the 1st, Tater.
Then you're gonna have to be dealing with Tater. And the worst part about it is how long you're going to be stuck there, because just him asking for your license is going to take a long time, Terry.
you better have an extra one. He better have an extra one cheeked when he gets up to the wind. Is all I can say.
He's gonna say, why'd you stop me? Why'd I stop you, sir? Terry's getting overturned. Finger guns. Go. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So speaking of the moron,
Which
I guess,
one?
well, the big one, the granddaddy freaking moron. Oh, by the way, since you're up here, Blue, do you know anything about all that crap that happened in Colorado that I was talking about with all those guys getting
Uh,
arrested?
I think the boss came home then, so I had to turn you down and was talking to her for a minute. But I kind of
Gotcha.
know about the auditors that got arrested in what is it, Sheridan, Colorado, I think.
I don't know. I'd seen where somebody said where it was, but I wasn't familiar. I just caught Hezekiah for a minute when he was
It
covering
was
it.
DMA and a bunch of other people apparently got arrested. I haven't seen the entire video. I did watch where they approached city council out there and basically threatened them, saying that their administrative policy does not trump the Constitution and that the building is not a limited public forum or non-public forum. So
I think there's actually some case law. Now, I've never brought this up before because I didn't. I mean, because you guys know I'm all about freedom. But there's actually some case law that actually talks about the courtroom or courthouse in general being already deemed limited, limited public, because of the nature of what it is. And I can't quote that, so I'm not going to pretend like I can. Okay. But that's kind of where I haven't actually done a whole lot of research on it, but I remember reading over that a little bit, and it's been a long time ago. But basically, that within a courthouse or courtroom, it's automatically deemed that is not a complete open forum for public display and view. So I think there's actually a little bit of law behind that already. So, but I've never researched it, so I could be wrong.
and I was watching a video on DMA's channel earlier, and he was talking about he had made a public records request, and they wanted to point out the part of that statute that said something about booking photos. But what they failed to read were the first two sections that basically said that the holder of that record has the right to refuse to give you that record if you plan on using it to make money.
Gotcha.
So they wanted to totally ignore that part of the code, which is what I'm sure the city attorney was referring to,
Right.
and not the latter part.
Mm-hmm.
So, typical frauditor response. I mean,
Right.
it.
Real fast, Stephen. The civil service exam for police that I've taken is a lot of just general knowledge stuff. If I recall, it's been a long time ago since I've taken the actual entrance exam, but it was a lot of general, like, math questions, problem solving type questions, that type of thing. And then there was a general questions referring to police or public safety type stuff, but not anything in depth, just basic knowledge. And then they have a lot of those, what do they call them? Those, those psychological type things where they ask you the same question over and over, Terry. You know what I'm talking about? Those
Yeah, it's called an aptitude test.
Yes, I couldn't place what it was called. Yeah, well, they say agree, disagree, strongly disagree, that type of thing, and then they ask you the same question.
So you take an
10,000
aptitude test, but
times,
don't know
20
what
different
aptitude
ways.
is.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You have to answer the same question 472 times. They just word it differently every time, but that's basically what it is. Yeah.
To answer your question, Burns, Terry, will you pull that back up there, please?
See if it is.
Yeah, that one.
Guys, I'm going to step away for just a second while you're answering that. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Most of the people that are doing auditor stuff are what I call frauditors, because what they do is frauditing. What Terry does is actual auditing or cop watching, because he does it the right way. They say they're doing it for their First Amendment rights, which is bullshit, in my opinion. They're doing it to make money on YouTube. And what they fail to realize when they say, oh, well, it's a First Amendment right, it's my First Amendment right. but you're doing it to make monetary gain.
Mhm.
So that's where the issue comes in most cases.
Well, and we've seen this many, many times. This is, and the, the way you can tell is if they're out there trying to cause an issue, if they're out there and they come out in numbers and they're trying to cause an issue, they're not activists. They're not, they're just trying to cause trouble, and I've said this many, many times, and I've said this openly, and I've said this to guys, and, I actually, I've said this too. I don't agree with Josh Abrams and a lot of stuff he does, but I like Josh. I think, Josh and I actually get along on a private level, and he's a really funny guy, and he's a nice fella, but I don't agree with a lot of stuff he does, whatever. But I've told Josh this: just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean you always should. Sometimes you got to just let common sense. Remember, we talked about that in the beginning of the show here, is, that what Columbus was lacking was common sense. But sometimes you have to exercise a little common sense and a little human decency. You're right. Yes, you can by all means go in there and film these ladies that are working in the library or in the courthouse or whatever. But is it really helping you? I mean, like, what are you proving?
Well, make sure that while you're exercising your rights, you have enough decency to exercise some scruples and some responsibility while you're doing it.
Amen. I guess that's what I'm looking for. Responsibility is probably the word that probably best describes what I'm asking. Is if you're going to exercise the same way that we expect you to exercise responsibility with your Second Amendment, perhaps maybe we should run that through the same filter of responsibility for your First. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and here's my thing, Chad. The First Amendment is set up for redress of government.
Mm-hmm.
These ladies doing their job behind these windows are not
they're not exactly your government. We'll just say.
Not the people that you need to redress.
Now, wait a minute, Terry. Are you telling me the librarian over there is not the one that are passing laws?
I'm telling you, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference in the world if the librarian knows what the hell your First Amendment is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you educate her, you haven't done a thing to make life better for anyone else.
Or your third. If the librarian doesn't know your Third Amendment right, you don't really care. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Now, if people want to go in and redress the city council over a city matter, I don't have an issue with that. During a city council meeting when there's open public discussion. That's the place to redress your government. If you want to go to the state capitol and speak to your legislator that represents your county or your area, that is your right to do so.
Absolutely.
They have emails. They have phone numbers. Trust me.
Well, not only that, but here's the beauty of the First Amendment is to be able to look at your government without threat, without any kind of threat of coercion within physical or, dangerous threat, and basically say, you're an asshole and I don't like what you're doing. Right. To be able to say that to your, elected officials and put them on the spot and make them answer for what they've done. But I don't think, and maybe, good night, Pat.
Good night, Pat.
But I don't think necessarily is going to help you by going into the little ladies that are working in the courthouse or the little ladies that are working or for God's sakes, the janitor that's trying to run the sweeper, Terry.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
The guy, the poor fellow's in there. What was funny was he didn't even want on camera. He kept his back turned. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to do my job.
He's like, I just want to vacuum the floor so I can go home.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wouldn't understand that, Chili, because you don't have a damn job. I know it's hard for you to understand. Yeah, exactly.
And here's one thing that really just it really just chaps my ass, to be honest. Terry, I don't have a problem with what you do, going out and filming us doing our job.
Sure.
But when you want to stand there and say, well, you're a pig because you take people to jail and you want to put them in a dungeon. No, I'm doing my job. I don't change the laws. I don't make the laws. I enforce them.
And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you a little heads up for everybody that's out there in the chat and everybody that might be watching this stream later on. I'm gonna give you a little heads up, and this may come as a big surprise. I don't like arresting people ever.
No, because the paperwork sucks.
And I don't want to take anybody's freedom because that's a power that's been entrusted to me that I hold very, very deeply. And I don't like doing it. I want that to be an absolute last case scenario. If I can do anything I can to keep from arresting me, you know how many times I've been on multiple calls? I've been on the calls 2 or 3 times and everybody's going, why don't you just take him to jail? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, well, because I don't want to. I know that you may not understand that, but when I do that, I'm taking his freedom away, the freedom that I hold very dearly. And I don't want to do that. But sometimes you just can't make somebody not be a damn asshole and start in trouble. And when that happens, that's what jail's for. When there's no other alternatives.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, and that's the way that I do my job. And a lot of times that's the way that I've watched my men do their job. A lot of times I've witnessed them go bend over backwards. Man, we've taken guys rides, Blue. We've taken them rides. We've taken them places and say, look, dude, go in and go to bed. You know what I mean? And whatever we got to do.
But somebody's standing on the side of the road, cussing us out, calling us everything but a milk cow, does nothing.
Would you prefer we called you a milk cow?
Moo.
Did you see Burns's comment? Said these frauditors will never understand what a cop has to go through when making a traffic stop. The cop doesn't know what kind of person they will be encountering. Well, I'm happy that I get to walk around with the same police officers all the time because they do know me. They know I'm not a threat, or at least I'm assuming they do, don't they, Cap?
Absolutely. They think very highly of you, actually. And they can, and because my guys, and I feel really confident that most of my guys feel the same way I do, and they really do love freedom. This is not, guys, I'm going to give you a heads up. Okay. What Chili didn't introduce you guys to was this. He could have went to, a major city somewhere, or out like I said, he could have left the United States and went out to California, and done some things, whatever, and showed you an example of what it's like in big cities or whatever. But what he failed to realize was when he comes down here to Hillbilly Hell, all these old boys are just good old boys that just grew up like all the rest of us did.
Mm-hmm.
And they just decided to take on a job that'll pay their bills, and they all know each other, and they played football together. You know how many times we've been in Eaton and somebody will talk about, with Akers, be like, hey, what such up there, running the, running the ball, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I remember when you were playing and blah, 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 and it's like, and everybody has those stories to tell about the times that they saw, everybody playing ball when they were younger or whatever, these guys all know these guys and they don't want to be that asshole to take anybody to jail. But sometimes there's just nothing else we can do. That just happens.
Sometimes people leave us no choice. And good night, AZ Jeep Girl.
Good night, AZ.
Good night, AZ Jeep Girl.
And I don't like it that there are times that I've seen the police in a lot of videos and stuff. I've seen police that I've been very disappointed in. And I've made that very open that I've seen videos that I'm not happy with the way police acted. But I will say that generally speaking, the police that I've worked with in my career, and I don't just mean IPD, I mean locally around the tri-state area, the ones that I've observed and been around, have all just been regular dudes trying to do their best. Do they mess up? Absolutely. Absolutely. We all do. But I just, you know what? It's different around here. I guess we're just a little bit different breed. We don't have the access to a lot of the stuff a lot of other areas do.
My thing is, like, if somebody, I think Burns posted this, or no, it was Scott Hubert. He said, standing there filming is okay. Yelling and screaming disrupts the process and puts lives and safety in jeopardy, not to mention that with certain types of Leo, it might agitate them to arrest. You know, I could care less if somebody stands there and films me doing my job. Just don't interrupt me and make me feel like you're a threat.
Right.
And take my attention away from one of the most dangerous things in my career that I do.
Right.
Which is a traffic stop,
Mm-hmm.
which is second to a domestic violence situation.
Sure.
You know, I always tell my rookies, those are the two things that will get you killed faster than anything. Is a domestic violence situation and traffic stop.
Austin, I'm so sorry to hear that, sir.
Absolutely, Austin. I'm sorry, buddy. You know what? We live in a time, brother, where, and you know what? I'll never understand it. I'll never understand why anybody would want to put that poison in their fucking body, man. Seriously, stop, people. I get it. I really do. I get it that, you know what, for now, it maybe takes a little edge off the pain that you're dealing with or whatever, but that shit is pure poison. And it's not if it's going to kill you, it's going to kill you. It might not happen today, but it will happen eventually. Please get help, go to the right people, do the right things, ask a friend, ask whoever, get help and get away from that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible. And here's the thing, you know, everybody goes, oh, well, I'm going to, you know, go smoke a little weed. But what you don't realize is that weed could possibly be laced with fentanyl.
We've seen that a lot lately too.
Yeah.
Which is why they should just legalize it to grow it ourselves, and we don't have to worry about it being laced with anything.
There
Well,
you go.
I think it ought to be taxed like cigarettes and sold, and the money given to school systems to help educate our children.
Why? The more money we give them, the dumber our kids get. Haven't you seen
Just
it?
my opinion.
Terry.
Austin said it was laced
they have
with
some
fentanyl.
strong thumbs, though, for kids. They sure do.
Austin said whatever
It was laced with fentanyl.
it was laced with fentanyl.
Yep.
That's enough right there. That stuff is deadly
And
right
see,
there.
you can't
it's
see
poison.
it, you can't smell it,
It's pure poison.
and it'll kill you before you know it.
You don't even realize it. It's just pure toxic.
Did you guys see the one where the cop inhaled a bit of the dust from it? And
I
like
have.
within just a few minutes later, I mean, he killed right over. You know,
Yeah.
they took him like 4 shots of Narcan to bring him back. It was bad.
Did I tell you that story, Terry? When I actually ate it?
No, I didn't know you'd ate it. No.
Oh,
Well, I
dear
didn't.
God.
I didn't mean to. Okay. But I actually, I was patting this guy down, and he had a warrant, and I was patting him down, and we were just shooting the breeze. And he had a cigarette pack, and you know, as I'm getting his stuff out of his pockets, you know, to put it over in his bag for his personal property and stuff, because he's going to jail. And in that cigarette pack, when I squeeze that cigarette pack, it caused like a gust of air, like a vacuum out of it, and it blew it right in my mouth. I mean, just one of those freak things, right? And he immediately, in his defense, and he was just a regular old boy, you know what I mean? He just had a problem with, you know, with drugs or whatever. And he said, and he was literally telling me, he's like, and he was like telling my buddies, he's like, you got to get him out of here. You got to get him out of here. He's like, dude, he's like, that was fentanyl. That was fentanyl in that cigarette pack. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, he was actually like looking out for me, you know, as a human being. And once
Well,
again,
he didn't want to get charged with murder of a law enforcement officer either.
Right.
well, but once again, that's an example of the difference in the area that we live
Well,
in.
true.
You know, the fact that this guy was literally going, dude, seriously, you got to go get checked out. He's like, that was fentanyl in that pack, man. You know, because he, you know, and what was funny was I went to the hospital and they checked my vitals and they went through everything. And the doc says, do you feel anything yet? And I said, no. And he says, nothing. I said, no. And he goes, huh. Well, okay then. He said, we'll keep you and monitor you for a little while. And I stayed there and watched TV in the hospital for a little while, and then they let me go. It didn't bother me. I don't know why, but it just, I don't know. I mean,
Maybe it was fake. Maybe you bought the wrong stuff.
yeah, I should have.
Well, maybe somebody told him it was fentanyl and it actually wasn't fentanyl.
That's what I mean. You might have bought the wrong stuff. But, Leducator, on an up note, I do carry Narcan in the car with me at all times. So if something like that does happen to you or one of your officers or one of the public, at least I have it. I'm ready.
Absolutely. And my guys usually carry it too. It just so happened at that time, it was kind of a weird time in the cruisers and stuff, and we were kind of going through a change in the cruisers. But conveniently, the paramedics were on the call with us because it came in as originally as a medical call to begin with, oddly enough, because I think he was kind of overdosing a little bit, to be honest. But anyway, nevertheless, I'm okay, and it wasn't a big deal, but it was just a weird situation. So,
Peter does make a good point that in the U.S. we spend a lot of money on healthcare and education. As a matter of fact, we spend more money than any other country in healthcare, and we're ranked 27th in healthcare, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And the more money we pay our schools, the less good of a job, the more knowledge they destroy. And he's saying that it's a little bit different where he's at. There's not as much money spent, and it's a little better.
Well, here's a thought, and call me crazy, but what if in every community, within every school, we had like the PTA was supposed to be? Do you remember when the PTA became a thing years back? What it was supposed to be. And before any curriculum can be given to our children, it has to be voted on and accepted by this committee that's made up of parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the fairest way, considering it's our tax dollars that pay for it, right? And considering that it's our children that they're teaching, I don't know why I wouldn't have a direct say in what directly is being taught to my children.
Well, you might for the first week or two, but they'll probably just be like Columbus and disregard whatever the hell you said anyway and do whatever they like.
You know what? That's sad but true. But ultimately, I think that would be a step in the right direction, at least. If we had that immediate direct, and I'm blessed over here. I'm blessed. We have a good God-fearing principal in our local school over here where my kids go to school. And he's a very soft man, and he truly cares about the children, and he's a conservative man, and he's a freedom-loving man. And, and he does, I think, the best job that he can under the circumstances. I truly believe that. But I also believe that there is always room for improvement, just like there is in law enforcement or any other aspect. And whether it be in the public industry or the private industry, there's always room for improvement. And I think maybe some way it might not be a bad idea to look into that as a general rule of thumb. Why not everybody look into saying, hey, you know what? Let's all get together and talk about it. And this, what's this, critical race theory stuff or whatever that they were preaching about, or whatever the stuff that they were talking.
Yeah.
Nonsense, just absolute nonsense. And some of the stuff like this, just crazy. Some of the stuff they're wanting to teach the kids it's just bad for everybody, and I don't like it, and I don't approve of it. And I think parents should have the right to be able to say so. And if they choose, that's how it should be done.
Carolyn, I've got a better idea for taxing marijuana. How about we build homes for homeless veterans that fought for our freedom?
I could see that.
Take that money and build homes for homeless veterans and give them a place to live.
And to address that, Peter, I'm not referring to saying that they're going to decide word for word. I'm saying you present them with curriculum, and they either get an approval or not. Like, for instance, what I was talking about was some of the woke stuff that we're seeing, or whatever that probably isn't is not probably needs to be taught in school. But that's the thing is it's that necessarily is that's been pushed a few times in the United States. It certainly has.
Peter, they've actually taught some of that in junior high and high school.
Absolutely.
In the United States, because I have children and I have seen it.
Yes, absolutely. And, and some of the stuff that they're pushing is just ridiculous. So, and I hope that, that we can see, different changes to stuff and whatever, and maybe eventually we can all kind of unite under what, the idea is, and we can all start doing better in every category anyway. And that's the hope anyway.
Steven said his local school can count to potato.
Man, that's pretty impressive.
Right. I don't even know how to count a potato. I'll be honest.
Well, you know what, Terry? It's because you're not legicated.
Well, maybe I just need to hang around here long enough, huh?
Just sick tater on him.
Hey, man, right here is what we need. This right here. You're absolutely right. CRT is not what is needed. Teaching actual U.S. history. And let me tell you something.
Amen to that.
Amen. Let me tell you how valuable history is. History is so valuable that if you don't know what the hell happened the first time you screwed it up, you're gonna do it again.
Well, I think a lot of the problem with school is they have our kids memorizing a bunch of bullshit that's never going to matter in their entire lives, but they don't teach them how to live. They don't
Well,
really teach them anything about living a daily life. They teach them how to go to school so that they can, when they get out of school, then turn around and go back to school. They don't really ever teach them anything, in case you haven't noticed.
well, one of the things that I've noticed, Terry, is a lot of schools.
Good night,
have-
Jess.
Good night, Jess. A lot of people have, or a lot of school systems have gotten rid of their home ec classes.
Mhm.
They've gotten rid of
Right.
their auto mechanics. They've gotten rid of their shop classes.
Mhm.
And
But also, Sergeant, we have to blame some of the parents too, because it's up to
That's-
the parents to actually teach their children something. But
Oh,
most parents
absolutely.
don't. They actually don't because they think the school system will. And I guess they think one day their child's going to wake up at 18 years old and go, well, hell, now I got it. Now I know how to be a good person to live.
well, and one thing that I've seen, especially in my local school system, they're more concerned about teaching them what is on an aptitude test so they can get higher scores and receive more money from the state.
Right.
It's all about money. It's all about butts in the seats, because the more butts they have in seats, the more money they get.
Right. Unfortunately, that doesn't help our children learn how to manage any of the money they may actually try to make someday.
I agree 1000% with you. But that's
Absolutely.
where, as a parent, I make sure that my children know how to balance a checkbook. They know how to pay a bill. They know how to renew their car tags.
Well,
They know how
I
to
will
check their
personally
oil
thank you.
and change their oil in their car.
I
and
will
do a load
personally
of
say
laundry.
thank you for them, Sergeant. Thank you for doing
know-
that, because not enough parents do that.
And Carolyn,
I wanna-
that's my point right there. Is teachers and parents and teachers should be, it should be a union. Really.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I guess that's what I meant to begin with. Is the reality is I don't think that they should be able to just bring in anything the state delegates as what we consider to be curriculum, because, well, what if I don't want my kids learning that? What if I don't want my kids to see things the way that you all do? Or, this, a lot of this woke crap, man, is just going too far. And I'm sorry, and I might make some people mad with that, but you know what? You can feel how you want to about what you want to do. And I'll tell you how my freedom feels. If you want to feel like you're a boy being a girl or a girl being a boy, or if you feel like you want to know about, different types of the critical race stuff and whatever, and feel the way that you want to, that's perfectly fine. And I don't have a problem with that until you try to make me feel that way too, or you try to make me have to respond and react the way that you want me to over it. That's not
Mhm.
freedom. That's not fair. I should not have to go to the extent to say that if you consider yourself, and you're a girl that says you're a boy, that's fine. If you want to be that, and God bless you, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. But don't make me feel like I have to accept that and call you that when I'm thinking, well, that's just not what I recognize, right? So, and it's not about whether I agree with it, don't agree with it. I have my own spiritual beliefs about stuff, but I just don't think it practices good freedom to try to make me feel that way. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I
Yep.
understand exactly what you're saying.
So, and like I said, and I hope I don't offend anybody like that, but I'm just being honest. I pray over, everybody to be happy and blessed, but I truly don't think that it, just because, I could call myself a Corvette and paint myself red and go stand in the garage, but guess what? I'm still not a Corvette. Right. And to tell everybody else that they have to call me a Corvette and I should be able to go to the BMV and get a license plate put on my ass is probably not really fair. And that's just my opinion. So,
Dark Watch, I agree with you. A lot of vets aren't victims. They choose to live that way based upon what has happened to them in wartime. I've spoken with many homeless vets when I see them out. And there's also some people that will abuse that. You're exactly right. But
and by the way, thank you
regulated.
for your service, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
for your service. God bless you. And I guess I just have my own views about things, and if I can help a veteran, I want to help them. you know. But I think you're right. I think a lot of times those guys, they come back and they carry so much on their shoulder and they have so much PTSD, and they don't really know which way to reach out. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes they're kind of afraid or
Yep.
feel like they don't really have the right help that they need to. There was a guy that actually he was living homeless for a long time, and I don't ever know whatever happened to him. But I'd feel so sorry for him, and my family owns a business. My family owns a couple of the Tudor's Biscuit Worlds. And this guy used to come in there all the time, and he'd sit in there and and we'd make sure he'd eat and all this stuff. And I was always feeling really bad until I found out that this guy was loaded. He was he was making 3 times more than I was. And I guess that the Department of Veteran Affairs had gotten in touch with him several times to ask him about housing and placing him and stuff. And he would always tell them, that they were just trying to keep tabs on him, that they were wanting to put trackers on him and all this different stuff, and he just would not accept the help, and this guy was like, and he kept coming there and saying, man, I'm trying so hard to help him, but he thinks I'm the bad guy. I was like, I'm sorry, man. That's just crazy to me. But you know what? It's something everybody's got their own stuff they have to struggle with. And it's sad that our guys have to deal with what they have to deal with to put them where they are, to make them feel the way they do. But maybe one day we'll come up with a better plan. I don't know.
We'll see.
Hey, Sergeant Blue Bear, do you see a lot of homeless people in your area?
Not in my area. In surrounding areas, yes.
All right. I want to talk to you a little bit later on a private end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I think you probably need to, Terry. Carolyn says, don't make me come down there and smack you. I'm always good to Mrs. Legicator. She just yeah, she
unless he doesn't fix the truck and leaves her stranded on the side of the road.
Oh gosh, Terry, you're gonna get me in trouble. Oh my. But yeah,
I think I've got a couch in my office if you need to borrow
it. You know what?
He might be sleeping in the bed of that truck before we know it.
I might have to take you up on that. So
he might be sleeping in his own office.
Yeah. You know what? And what's funny, in my office, I don't even have a couch or a love seat. I'd have to sleep on the floor. So that wouldn't be any fun. Oh.
Good night, Scott Hubert. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out, Scott. It's always a pleasure to see you, buddy. Have a good night. Yeah, as long as she doesn't remember the Valtrex or remembers the Valtrex. Yeah, now, Stephen, now you're just bringing up old stuff, okay? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh yeah, but that's, what I actually, as far as tonight's stream, my intention was I wanted to get on here and bitch a little bit because that pissed me off when I read that today. But I also want to hang out with you people, and I wanted to try to interact a little bit and let you guys know how much we appreciate you all. I'm trying to get back up to where we're streaming more often. And hoping to do some more content on some stuff. I'm going to start doing some more like reaction stuff to some of these auditors. I think I would like to bring more of a not only a patriot side of it, but I would like to bring a police side of it. Are you heading out, Kevin? Have a good one, Kevin. Thank you, buddy.
Later, Kevin.
But I would like to bring a police side of it to be able to say what I think from police standpoint, as well as, a patriot standpoint as well, and just be real and watch these guys and tell you what I think they, how they're doing, whether anybody cares. If you don't want to hear me, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do on my streams when I do my breakdowns of auditors. I've been trying to stay away from them because sometimes they just, I don't know. I just don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of, sometimes I watch them, it's so cringy. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost hard to watch the entire thing to be able to do a justifiable breakdown of it or give an opinion on it, because it's like, oh my God, these guys are just off the friggin' chain, man. But there's some of them too that, I could stomach well enough to be able to watch. Hey, potentially criminal, how are you? yeah, and that's kind of where I might start doing some of that stuff. And I like doing the police type breakdown stuff. And
Speaking of
you know,
which, have you seen the OIS in Virginia, or was it Virginia Beach, maybe,
I have not.
where the officer gets the stolen car and the driver gets away from him, drops a bag, has a gun in it. Passenger gets out. She's got a gun on her.
No, I don't guess
He's
so.
wrestling with her on the ground. The guy comes back, grabs the gun out of the bag, and draws down on the police officer, and he ventilates him.
I have not.
The police officer had one on the ground, ventilated the other one, and went back to the one on the ground.
Wow, that's pretty good work. I mean, that's pretty good, defensive tactics.
Well, there was a lot of things that I saw, and I'm not trying to bust this guy's chops by any means. I've watched this video on 2 different streams. His situational awareness was 100% on point.
Awesome.
But some of his other tactics would make a good training video.
Real fast, Carolyn, my cousin Chili, he said that Carolyn don't, you don't like him, and you want to not see Terry get overturned and stuff. So, well, thanks, but finger guns to you and stuff. What? Okay. Anyway,
Dark Watch, I agree with you. I do think there needs to be a better qualification process.
Oh, that's a whole new can of worms that I'm not going to open tonight, Bear.
What?
The whole welfare programs.
Oh,
but we're going to do a stream on that one of these days, and we're going to talk about that because I do have a few opinions on that, and I think it's a wonderful program when it's applied properly.
Well, and I think that's what Dark Watch is kind of leading towards is
absolutely. Austin, good night, buddy. We'll be praying for you, Austin. Have a good night, buddy.
See you, Austin. But I think, yeah, we could do probably a 3 or 4 hour stream on that and never shut up.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
But
well, we've sat here and done a 2-hour stream on almost nothing except for holding something in your cheeks, and we've managed to make it this far. I think we'd do great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? There's no way we can fail at being morons, no matter what we do. We can always pull that off for hours at a time, Terry.
I mean, we can talk about
Right?
nothing for hours. We do it every day. What are you talking about?
Oh, no kidding. Well, listen, guys, we just went over 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I was only going to go about 2, so I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to give Blue Bear his opportunity for his final word, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I enjoy coming up here and hanging out with you guys and just kind of shooting the breeze and answering questions from the chat. If you want to check out some of my stuff, just go to youtube.com/@bluebear1. And if you like what you see, subscribe. You can catch all my future content. I'm getting real close to monetization.
Excellent.
I'm only missing about 240 some hours. That's how close I am right now. I may do a live stream tomorrow night, or the next night, which will probably be tomorrow night, I would say. But I'm sorry, I was reading what Stephen was saying. I'll have to look into that, Stephen. But I really enjoy these chats and hanging out with your chat and with you and Terry. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. And you're always welcome. And we always look forward to hear what you have to say and your take on situations. So I appreciate you hanging out with us. But Terry, we'll give it to you, sir. You got any final words?
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Thanks for being here, Sergeant Blueberry. You know, we always appreciate it. We're honored to have your presence here. Legicator, thank you for having me here. And everybody out there in the chat, you know I love each and every one of you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. We'd just be sitting around in a room somewhere bullshitting between ourselves. So thank you for coming to listen to us. We sure do appreciate having you here.
Absolutely. And once again, I want to thank Terry for being here. He's always my right hand man. He always helps me on the stuff that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And I definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate all you guys. You know what? Thank you guys for all that you do. You know, thank you guys for all the support that you give us. And you keep us going. And I really do appreciate that. You guys really, really do mean a lot to us. And I want you guys to know that. You know, tonight was kind of silly. You know, I wanted to vent a little bit about some silly law. And I think that the way that Columbus is doing things is silly. And I think that in the long run, they're going to lose their ass for this. And let's sit back and enjoy this as it happens, because in my opinion, I truly believe that freedom is going to take the win in this one. And I think that we're going to get a win up there somewhere in some type of appellate court of some sort. I don't really know. Maybe it's the Ohio Supreme Court. We'll see. But yeah, I'm glad you guys hung out and listened to my goofy hind end say what I had to say about it. And as always, you guys are much appreciated for being here. And I love reading you guys' chats and your comments that you leave us. It really means a lot to me. So keep us in your prayers as we keep going on. You know, we're going to keep growing and going, and we're always going to try to stay positive when we do it. And if I'm going to do another, we'll definitely be live again before Christmas. So, but I'm going to go ahead and say it to you guys, you know, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. And we appreciate you guys on that aspect. And if you haven't got to check out Terry's stream that he did earlier to show a little bit of our area here, you know, a little bit of light stuff and just kind of a more lighthearted, fun little stream, go back and watch that. I think you'll have fun with that. And as always, make sure you check out Blue Bear One. Blue does stuff. He does a lot of stuff that I touch on, but he's a lot more in depth with it than I have been. You know, so make sure you check out that for more police type breakdowns, as well as, you know, the auditor reactions and stuff like that. You'll enjoy his content. If you haven't subscribed to either one, make sure you do. I promise you won't be sorry. Also, make sure you check out Bits and Pieces. Derek's been putting up some more content again. Thank God. We're glad to see his channel getting back going again. He's putting out some stuff. And make sure you check out the Hall Pass and Tom Hall, as well as, of course, Irish Demon, Team Skeptic, Keeping It Criminal, and much, much more. They've all been a blessing to me in my life, and I appreciate them all, as well as I appreciate my chat. In my opinion, my chat is the best in the business, and I love you guys. Thank you guys for everything you do. Stay positive, stay blessed, stay free, keep praying, and keep moving forward. I promise you, if you train like you fight, you'll fight like you train. Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.